Hello, and welcome to Roll for Bluff, our podcast where we discuss the ongoing events of our Dungeons & Dragons campaign, Bard's Noble. I'm Sam, I play Chet, the Cowboy Wizard. To my right, we have Tristan, who plays Soren, the Goliath Barbarian. And to my left, we have Brandon, who plays our Dungeon Master and everybody in the world around us. They'll be joining me tonight as my co-hosts, as well as my wingmen in tonight's episode, Disastrous Dates.
Well, that's why they were disastrous. You had us as your wingmen.
Yeah, that's real bad. I'm real bad at this.
So where we last left off with Roll for Bluff was the last session that we had, in which we had defeated the monster, chased away the bad guy, and after a little bit of prayer from one member of the group,
Solomon.
one member of the group,
Hey, yo, help me.
came to find that our ship had been magically transformed and fixed by the god Palor.
Yay!
Yay!
Now, that's how we started, right? It was diving into Solomon.
Yes.
Solomon was able, like, you went through the whole thing with Solomon, and now, he's going to become a paladin.
Right, he was pretty much Mark
Right.
at this point. But like, hey, yo,
Because then after
you went
that,
for a world of
you guys talked to some individuals, and then some angels came down and were on the boat.
Yeah.
And you all had a nice talk with them.
Nice.
And it was lovely. It was a lovely chat where you guys learned that there's rules for the boats, and that there are now going to be 5 trials Solomon's going to have to face to become a true fate touched of Palor. And
All sounds so riveting, doesn't it?
The real tragedy, though, was that Solomon decided to rename the boat and crush Morena's dreams of naming it.
it's now the Sun Ship.
Yeah.
So while
Cloud
individuals
Jumper no more.
after all of that were out doing their own little thing, Chet and Morena decided to have a little picnic.
Yeah, Chet and Morena had a nice day of laying on the beach, staring at the clouds, and they decided to have a picnic. At which point, Chet offered Morena one of his snacks that he carries around, which is peppers. And Morena asked, "So, what's the hottest pepper you have?" And Chet pulled out this small, sort of deep blue colored pepper called the Corralin Reaper.
Dun-dun-dun.
To which Morena was like, "I dare you to eat it." And Chet, wanting to impress her, was like, "Okay," and took a small bite.
Because a
And
little goes
started-
a long way.
And started dying. Because Chet's constitution's not that good. And then Morena boldly took her own bite. Also started dying, even though her constitution's a little better. So while they're sitting there coughing and struggling to breathe and crying, Morena wipes her eyes away, not realizing that touching really hot peppers and then touching your eyes is a bad idea.
Yeah. You generally don't want to do that.
It was so
bad.
bad. She starts to run to the ocean, try to get the water out. Chet's trying to calm her down. All this commotion attracts the attention of Soren
and Soren, Lyran, and
Solomon
everyone
and
who
Lyran.
just come back from doing their own
And they
little
were like,
things.
"What the
Right.
heck did you do, Chet?" And Chet was like, "It was the peppers."
Right.
And Morena had gone like temporarily blind because of this. Fortunately, however, there was a cleric that happened to be walking by that was like,
Cleric towns are everywhere.
"Cleric magic. Pff,
Yeah.
You're fine."
And then Soren
Soren
carried
carried
her
her
back.
back to the ship.
It's okay, baby.
So that was disastrous date number 1.
Man. The last session did kind of revolve around dates.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah,
You guys then-
All that was happening, yeah, we were out shopping, more or less.
You went, to the church shopping, and you guys stopped by a potion shop and realized that individuals on this continent hate people from the other continent.
Yes.
So everyone except for Soren is kind of hated.
Yeah.
Then after that, you went to a reliquary shop.
Yes.
To which, what did you find, Tristan?
Well, we were first offered a tentacle in a jar.
Which Chet was like, "That looks like something we probably should not have."
To which, because when we go to the shops after, it was after I think Morena had gotten a little bit better because Morena came with us, and so we'd gone there because she was like, "Tentacle," and then Soren was like, "I'll buy you anything you want, dear. I'm just glad you're okay." Soren's going into full dad mode because
Morena had time to rest because you guys had like a heart-to-heart with Solomon on the boat.
yeah.
About telling the truth, but
That's right, yeah, because he had come clean about going into Chet's dreams,
which everyone kind of was like, bad. Moving on.
Yeah, it was like we got more pressing matters to worry about. Don't stop that stuff.
Don't do that again. So you guys, Morena was like, we don't want. No.
Yeah. So yeah, it was like we shouldn't get the tentacle because we definitely got a feeling that it was powerful. So then the next thing he came out with was a little piece of wood. He was like, "This is a piece of Odin's boat." Like,
What?
Of course, Soren's like, Odin's boat.
Odin's boat. But with Soren, he's always a little wary of people saying that. So I was like, "Oh, I worship Thor." Seems a little tricky, aren't you? And so the first thing he does is he holds it close to his pendant, which reacts with when the gods are near.
With magic.
And it went, wow. And they're like, oh, snap. No, okay, so we missed something pretty major, now I'm just realizing it. Before all this, Liren left.
Oh, that's true.
Yes.
Yeah.
At the beginning of the day, Liren had left. Yeah. She had gotten a message from Calmine that Cal needed her help in the Ramhorn Mountains. So Liren went to go help Calmine, and had kind of, bid farewell to the group. Said that Soren needed to be fed 5 times a day.
That's why I thought
Which is why you thought about it, because when the necklace glowed, Chet was like, oh, does that mean we gotta feed you?
Because they're like, why is this necklace glowing? Oh, it's feeding time? Oh,
food time. Here's your
8-foot-tall giant Goliath probably needs to be fed pretty much. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
Yeah. So, yes, you said our goodbyes to Liren.
So we say, so with the necklace glowing, he was like, all right, this is at least something. So he bought the piece of the boat. And then he tried to sell Solomon a piece of glass. It was like, hey.
The stained glass from the first church of Pelor.
And Solomon was kind of like, I don't know, and left. And then Soren was like, all right, I'm trying to make nice with the team. He's trying to be
good. Everyone's leaving me. I gotta buy everyone's love.
It's honestly that, because Soren is now the last remaining original member of the Stormbreakers. And he is going into full panic mode. Liren, probably his closest friend in the Stormbreakers, has just left. Cal died but came back, but now's gone. Every other member that we've interacted with is gone. So he's going into full, dad mode. Divorced dad mode. I just need my kids to love me.
That's so sad.
It is. Soren's got a tragic life, guys.
Yeah, he does.
What a tragic backstory.
So so once he sees Solomon go I don't know, I think I'm good, and leaves, Soren goes back into the shop and goes, all right, is this shit legit?
He's like, you look for yourself, puts it in the sunlight, and then the symbol of Pelor is put on the ground.
He was like, all right.
That seems pretty legit.
That seems pretty legit. I don't know enough, but if anything, it's a nice gift. So he buys it with the intention of giving it to Solomon at some point.
And then after that, the team made their way to the church where they saw a copper dragonborn arriving, who they heard called Ezra May, that they recognized that this was Father's
adopted
daughter, and the now, I guess, new leader of their church. Yay! So that's kind of where we had left last session. And then this session, we picked
everything
up right from
got
there.
Worse.
Everything did get worse. So when we started out, we had interacted with Ezra May as she was coming into the church to sort of see Father's body, to say goodbye, to perform some rites. She had a brief interaction with the group, and then had her associate, a gentleman monk,
Nevcool Axewood,
sort of talked to the group to get the series of events that had led to Father's passing.
Right, it was pretty much thank you for helping, I'm very busy, please tell everything to Nevcool and we'll speak again later.
So the group talked to Nevcool,
it was great.
And, told him the story.
And somebody kind of was more blunt about Brother.
Chris had made a comment about Solomon throwing Brother under the bus, to which Chet was like...
And Soren were like, oh no.
Chet and Soren were like, buddy, you gotta be more tactful,
And Nevco was like, I'm not telling her.
Yeah, so we agreed to tell Ezra about Brother for him.
Because what we learned about Nevcool is, first off, he's a monk of the shadows.
Yes.
And second off, he has owed his life to Ezra May.
Yeah.
So he is very much her, she's his best friend, and he would do anything for her, and he's essentially her lackey. He's her girlfriend.
From what you can tell, yes.
Yeah.
From what you've seen.
Yeah.
So that's why we were talking to him in the first place, and that's why he's like, I don't want to give her bad news. So you guys
tell her
that part.
So we said we would do it. Chet sort of scolded Solomon a little bit, and then as they started making their way down to the beach as they were going to perform the funeral rite to send Father's body out to sea.
Which was a cool, definitely a very cool water funeral, because they had lashed all the coffins. They're more like driftwood and stuff, makeshift ones, because they very much from the sea and letting it reclaim and everything, and drifting them out. And then you had the clerics shaping water in a fence, essentially making a giant whirlpool, dragging all of them down at the base, getting locked under stones, and just sitting there for nature to take its course. Which, it's like the reverse of the fire pyres that the Goliaths use, which is really kind of neat. It's just like the complete opposite. I mean, I'm sitting there like, what would the other elements be? We launch them into the sky and just hope for the best.
Where they land,
We throw rocks at them.
we wait for a tornado to happen, and we just fling them into the tornado.
But it was a really cool little moment. And then after that, Ezra came out of the ocean onto shore, and then went up to the group and was like, "So Nevcool. Sorry, it's gonna take me a minute to get
Ezra and Nevcool.
Nevcool had kind of told me the situation, but he said he left something out, and then you guys will explain it about brother. To which Chet was kind of like trying to be like,
Both Soren and Chet were like, not his own volition. He was forced. He didn't want to. He did this.
This was not his.
You guys were like, as much as possible, trying to say, don't be mad.
I think we were just more of like, hey, this wasn't as blatant as...
I think we were trying to portray a bit of more sympathetic edge with saying, like, we understand you came back to this situation and it can be hard to deal with. We understand that you were close to this person and they may have betrayed you, but we're not sure if it was out of their own volition. So we were trying to give her as many of the facts as we saw it.
Right.
I think as possible. To which she kind of, I didn't expect her response. She was very,
time to kill him.
Time to kill brother then, which Morena did a little bit of insight on her and found that she was really struggling with that. So we kind of left her to herself, and then the group went to go get a drink.
Yes, it was like time for a drink.
At the Waves Crest. We went up to the bar, ordered some drinks. And when the bartender found out that we were...
the Stormbreakers recognized you. He was like, oh, I have a special drink.
To which he brought out the special drink, and immediately Soren and Morena downed the drink.
Felt really good.
And felt really good. Chet was a little more...
Apprehensive.
Did sort of an investigation. And
more
realized
in tune with charm magic.
That it was a charmed drink, but he didn't really get anything that was like nefarious off of it. Just more like
it's just a good feeling drink.
Solomon didn't really drink his. Chet sleight of hand dispelled the magic on his, and drank it like as if it was a normal drink. So Chet wasn't charmed, but Soren and Morena were. And charmed.
They were in a good mood.
The bartender found out that Solomon was only 16, so he took away his what was it?
His
port drink.
I wanted to make a starboard joke.
Which Chet was like, well, I'd hate for that to go to waste.
I'll just drink that for you.
And then about that time, a very interesting Warforged came in with music coming out of his chest, which everybody was like,
what?
Well, because it should be noted that I knew what this was because Brandon and I, it's a coworker of ours who talked about like if he were to play, he would play a Warforged with a boombox in his chest.
Which so I made that
cool
a thing.
Idea.
So the second he was like, a Warforged walks in with looks almost like a speaker in his chest. I'm like, son of a, it's friggin' Carlos's character.
Which was just really interesting in a lot of ways. I thought it was cool. He starts playing and, people are kind of, happy for it and excited for it.
Start dancing where he's like,
so this is the start of Disastrous date number 2. Chet had asked Miranda to dance. And they did, and she danced way better than he did.
And took the lead and led Chet to believe.
Look good.
And made Chet believe and look good about dancing. And Chet was like, oh my God, this is great.
And Soren got on the floor and just tore it up to the point where these women were coming up to him like, oh, you're so cute.
Look at those muscles.
And then he had heard, the comment from the Warforged about this being like, this is a crappy town.
He said, this town looks like crap.
He said the town looks like crap. Soren took that as like, how dare you insult this town? They just had a bunch of people die. How could you do this? You could be a bit more respectful. And the Warforged was like, oh, and the music died down.
Because he was like, oh crap, there's people died.
Well, that's not why I did it.
And so the music sort of died down, and
the ladies weren't happy about
that. The ladies were not happy. They slapped Soren. It was funny.
Of course, he's in a good mood, so he doesn't care.
Right.
And even afterwards, it was just like, if these ladies are so worried about music being turned off, I don't care. I told someone to be more respectful about people that just died.
Right. So the Warforged sort of pouted off a little bit. And, Chet was like, all right, I got to talk to this guy because it's really cool.
Dang, it's cool.
Goes over and talks to him and, is kind of asking him a little bit about himself and telling him, like, hey, you should keep playing, like, regardless of what the big dumb guy over there says. And then kind of throughout the conversation and the introductions, Chet says his name and the Warforged is like, what's your last name? Chet's like, Hartley. And the Warforged was like,
do you have a Nana?
Chet was like, of course I have a Nana.
Everyone has a Nana.
And then, like, older lady, like, oh, my God. Do you know Nana?
So then it was revealed that this was Chet's uncle. Uncle
Aggie.
Aggie. I was going to say Augie.
Agnesis is what he goes by now.
Uncle Aggie. So they get to talking. Chet eventually waves Soren and Morena over to
Solomon
meet
at this
him.
point's gone like, I don't care much for this.
Yeah, Solomon was just sort of sitting there. I don't know if he was pouting or what he was doing.
He couldn't drink. I don't think he's used to having having drinks taken away because of his age. He's an adult in his culture. He's gone off and fought.
So he was pouting.
He just helped kill a
I just
Kraken.
wasn't sure what his motivation was.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not Chris, so I don't know if he's pouting.
Yeah.
I am in my mind.
Solomon was just like, oh, well, this isn't so fun for me now.
Yeah, because it was like, man, I just helped kill a Kraken in this town, and I can't even have a beer.
So Morena and Soren came over, and they start talking, and they start talking about how Uncle Aggie wound up being in a Warforged body, and it involved a story about
story as old as sword
about
breakers.
two men breaking into the king of Chet's homeland palace, and one of them casting a curse at the king. His uncle blocked it, took on some of it, but also bounced back some of it to the second man, who was described as being a younger gentleman with knuckle dusters.
With gauntlets and knuckle dusters on.
To which Soren was like, now, I want to throw this out here, that as soon as Brandon started talking, I was like, oh, you son of a bitch. But you could see the dots connecting in your head.
And he was like, weird. The king also died from people murdering him, but I thought Devin was alone, but the guy with knuckle dusters, wait.
Yeah, if you watch the stream, you see me actually.
You can visibly see his face be like, doot, 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 doot.
Like, oh my God, it's Devin. This guy put the curse on Devin. Oh my God.
Yeah.
My new friend and my old friend, they hate each other.
So that was kind of that situation.
It was everything I could have wanted.
It was so I just loved the look on your face because I was like, he finally gets it.
It's the joke I always make. My intelligence stats are not high.
It was just
I'm
so
well aware
funny.
of this.
So at that point, Soren kind of zones out for a minute.
Because we described that, because with the charm drinks, you couldn't get really any negative emotions, which is why Soren first off doesn't feel bad about anything that happened, and he was like, you should be more respectful. And it's like, it was mean. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, he can't feel bad. There's no negatives. But then after learning this knowledge, it was so heavy. He went from good to, like, middle ground. It was like,
I need to leave.
Yeah, I need to go ponder this for a bit. I can't be in a bar right now.
So as Soren sort of wandered off, Chet's uncle started playing up the music again. Morena went back to dancing, and Chet sort of sat by the bar, kind of watching some guys approach her. Mm-hmm. And, all he sees is there's these guys approaching her, and on
Chet
the
had
other
his
end...
chance to come up and, like, save Morena and be like, I'm here for her, and then was just like...
Well, let's put this perspective this way. From Morena's side of things, these guys had come up, had started hitting on her, and she was like, "Oh, I'm here with someone."
Where's he at?
Where is he at? oh, he's
She was originally hoping that Soren would be
right, so
there.
she could point out Soren because Soren's a big guy. She wound up pointing to Chet. Well, from Chet's perspective, here's this girl that he kind of likes, who's, she wants to go dance. That's great. He wants to let her dance. And then he sees these guys talking up, and he gets a little, like...
She persuades them to leave her alone, and then she shimmies over.
Yeah, and then she's like, Chet, dance with me.
I was supposed to be dancing the entire time, wasn't I?
Yeah,
So, it was a little... Because Moreno said that she went into this bar with the whole intent of getting laid.
Right.
And so then a date started with you.
Right.
And so since that had started, I think her then focus became, all right, if we're going to do a date, we're going to do a full-on date here.
Which... Not anticipated, but all right. So at that point, they sort of start, dancing a little bit, and
everything went really, really well.
Good rolls.
And
you guys were a little awkward.
Other people started charming.
Aggie was like,
Uncle Aggie here to help.
Uncle Aggie here to
He'd
help.
be disappointed at your lack of moves.
Your lack of game.
He thinks he's helping, he's not.
He totally did.
So he thinks he's helping, he's not. So they get charmed, and they start having a much better time together, to the point where they start, they stop dancing, they start having more deeper conversation, and they leave the bar together. Now, Soren has left the bar, Chet and Morena are leaving the bar, and Solomon is still sitting at the bar.
At this point, the bar is pretty busy.
Right, we started and it was fairly empty.
And he has not noticed that everybody has left. So
it's now
he is
crowded.
sort of just sitting there alone, and, he gets to talking to Agnesius.
Uncle Aggie.
Just sort of having a little conversation there.
Which Solomon was like, "Are you hitting on me?"
Yeah, which I was like,
I love that there was that moment where it's like, oh my god, is he hitting on Solomon? It was a genuine feeling. I think everyone at the table was like, wait.
Aggie was just like, "Oh, honey, I'm a robot.
I'm a robot.
I have no need for that."
oh, honey, sweetie, dearie, no.
No. You're a little young.
So Soren had gone back to the ship.
Yes.
And
sat to ponder.
Yeah, you sat to
what
ponder.
happened?
Made a religion check.
Yes, which it's and I made sure that I had Chris there to double check the number.
It wasn't a 2.
It wasn't a 2.
It was a 20.
It was a natural 20, which I love. It always seems to happen. It's like in battle, I never get good crits for fighting. It's always when I do a religion check.
Yeah, you just have the best damn luck with that, don't
I
you?
want to hit harder.
To which,
It's so great.
well, this time for you it was great because you were like,
I was so I was like, next time he goes and talks. Next time he goes and talks.
yeah.
And then you crushed it.
Yeah, there was no ifs, ands, or buts. You're like, this is totally happening. Like, I might have fudged it a little bit if it was high enough. No, it's happening.
This is everyone knows it's happening.
So what had happened was,
what happened?
so Soren had laid down, holding the piece of Odin's boat that he was again,
And your locket.
and the pendant, and it was like, gosh, I need some guidance here, guys. I don't know what to do.
Do I tell everyone? Do I not tell anyone?
Is there anyone to tell?
Do I need to kill?
Do I need to try and kill everyone? What do I do?
And then, in a moment,
falling through. Once he realized it was falling through the tree of life, keep falling into the water. And
this is fine.
oh, this is water. And all of a sudden, I don't have the ability to breathe in water. And then just keep going. And all of a sudden, sort of
About 10 minutes.
10 minutes of just the complete cycle of falling air, water.
How'd that make you feel?
I was like, what the hell, guy?
Like, what were you
What
thinking
is that
was
supposed
happening?
to teach me?
What were you thinking was happening?
I figured at first it was the tree, because we've talked about how the tree itself was trying to communicate with me on its own, and I originally thought that I was going to fall, and this is, of course, with my history with talking about Norse mythology, I thought I was going to get caught up in the roots of the tree, much the way Odin did when he hung upside down, and, when he was learning about runes and whatnot. So I honestly thought I was going to get caught in the roots. So but the cycle just kept going. I was just like, where's this going? It's like, what's going to happen?
Don't you worry. The whole thing with the
I'm sure it will. I'm just saying, as a player at that moment, like, what's going on? Like, and it was going to be, and I figured, with the drowning and everything, I was like, okay, this is going on. And then eventually, wake up on the beach, stand up.
Who do you think grabbed you with the giant hand?
Oh, I figured it was a gear or
Yeah, definitely was.
yeah. I had full, and for anyone who's not sure what I'm talking about, that is the giant or the Jotun of the sea. He is essentially their Titan of the sea.
And he was like, "Oh, I got you."
He was like, "Oh, here, you're fine." It helped that I had tried talking to him several times while we were in this town as well. Plus, we're in a town that.
If you hadn't, then none of that would have happened. You would have just done that until you woke up.
Oh.
You would have just fallen until you woken up.
Until he was like, "Oh, hey, what are you doing, bud?"
Yeah, it's like, oh, stop that.
So the giant scoops you up, plops you on the beach.
Yes. Wake up, looking at the tree of life, and it's starting to have areas where it's starting to wither, where it's starting to rot, or it looks like it's been burned. The opening in it is starting to open up further. Not naturally, it looks like something that's been trying to dig its way through the tree. And next to me is pieces of a boat. And then, out of nowhere, Odin walks up. Like, what's up, bro?
Hello.
I just love it, like, you're here. I had a hell of a time finding this place. You know how long I've been falling?
He didn't say anything to you.
And then so he lifts up his eye patch, because when he's in his wanderer form, he's just got an eye patch, a hood, and he's just old and wandering.
Yep.
Just boop, flips up his eye patch, and then he has what looks like Soren's eye in his eye socket now. And it's like, well, that's weird. That looks like my eye.
Wait a minute.
I can't see out of my left eye now. Well, that's weird.
And then
Didn't he say something along the lines of "share my power"?
yeah, like share my knowledge,
Yeah.
and then trace his thumb across my forehead. And
pretty sure during this entire time you're like, what are you doing?
or I had figured like I had figured this is how it was going to happen, or no, I knew what we were doing. I was wondering how you were going to do this, because there was the thought that you were going to have me talk to Odin, and it would be like, all right, sacrifice 9, have me like actually have Soren try.
You didn't a say in this, no.
Yeah, well, no, I'm just saying, like, as a player, I was like, okay, is he going to have me do this, where the actual sacrifice, drink from the well of knowledge, or, a number of different things. It was like, okay, so this is how we're doing this. And and so Soren wakes up, like, right after that.
In the morning.
Yep.
And he's like, oh, I can see fine. That's fine.
And so then at night.
So previous night, after Morena and Chet had gone back to the boat, Chet, being a gentleman, dropped Morena off at her room, told her he had a great time, and bid her good night. To which Morena was like,
"Oh,
what?" Like, a little dejected.
I'm pretty, right?
And I think fortunately we both kind of knew that, like, the other was into one another, but, Chet was just being gentlemanly and, was considering some other factors going into that.
As the DM matchmaker, I was very disappointed.
Yeah, well,
Which is fine. I'm allowed to be disappointed. I had expectations. I thought it was at least going to be like a lingering, like, good night, or like a turn back, and something like that. But nope.
Nope.
Is there anyone home? Spam in chat. Spam in chat, spam in comments, spam it. If you want,
Chet Morena.
Morent. Chorena. You want chorizo?
I do want chorizo.
Huevos rancheros.
We were talking about huevos rancheros, and now I want chorizo.
If you want that, but you left, and there was a moment where she was like, "Does he actually like me? Like more than a friend? Like is this like?" And you were like, "Do I like her more than a friend?"
So the next morning,
we find out a little bit more about that.
Chet went to go see Soren, because now that Lyran's gone, Soren is next responsible person in the party.
Which is everyone's screwed.
I'm sorry. So goes to see Soren, knocks on his door. Soren answers, and Chet immediately sees something is off.
I don't know.
Soren
the head.
The head.
Yeah, Soren has no idea this, but his left eye is now like that white, glassy, like blind look, and on his forehead is runes that say Soren Thunderfist for reference. That says Soren Thunderfist.
So Chet walks in the room, shuts the door, and says, "Okay, whatever my issue is, yours is way more complicated."
And Soren has no idea.
And Soren had no clue. So Chet's like, your eye and your head, and you need like a mirror or something. Like,
what?
And eventually looked and was like, "Oh."
And he's just, it's a Thor thing. It's a Thor thing. What's your deal? What's going on with you?
Soren's having an internal like an E.
Yeah. So
Oh, because we should say when Soren woke up, he could see out of both of his.
You had the field of vision. Well,
right.
It's blinded you, but it's also Odin's.
And in his hand, where the piece of the boat was, is gone.
It's now a book.
It's a book.
It's a full-on book. And inside that book is a note that was like, "Thank you for,
allowing me to continue my journey."
Right. And, the whole share my knowledge kind of thing. Inside this book, it's runes of the giants. And it's like, oh, snap.
Yeah.
These are runes.
So Soren's kind of, this is a Thor thing. And Chet's like, are you sure? Like, this seems like it's important.
You have kind of etched into your forehead.
Like, your situation with the runes in your face are a lot worse than my girl problems.
And Soren's just like, I don't fully comprehend it as well.
No big deal. We'll figure it out later.
It's a Thor
Yeah.
Chet
thing.
looked at the book and was like, it's empty.
And Soren's like, you
Detect magic. It is magic. Identify. What is this?
And
Nothing.
To answer that, no.
I got nothing off that book.
You got the feeling
Which
that
is,
something was trying to deter you from
I
figuring
had
it out.
relatively expected that, honestly.
Yeah.
I assumed.
You do not have deity tier magic.
That, which is fine. Chet was still going to try because Chet's a curious asshole who just wants
Right.
to know what's going on at all times.
So Soren had kind of given him the quick rundown, like, well, I had this weird vision, this blah, 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 blah. I mean, I can still see, but I guess I have this eye.
And Chet and Soren geeked out about the fact that the part of the boat was actually part of Odin's
Yes.
boat, and they could be giggling. Giggling could be heard throughout the ship.
Corral still hasn't talked to you.
Yeah, that was a thing. That was that he was like, you talked to
Odin?
It's like, yeah, I talked to
A different
Thor.
one?
I talk to Thor and Odin all the time.
I
What
was
are you talking
like, Chet was like, again, like somebody else talking. Whatever, not important.
about? So
Alan, why don't you
Prioritize.
so they'd kind of tell himself like, well, you got a lot going on. Apparently, we'll come back to that. And I was like, okay. Now, what's your problem there,
So,
Chet?
which Chet first asked, so why'd you disappear last night? And Soren was like, Thor stuff. You're right. And Chet was like, okay.
Well, and then he changed it to I just realized something. I had to spend some time and think about it.
Yeah.
He's trying not. He's like, okay, I lied about the Thor thing. I can't really lie about this.
Chet was
I'm
just like,
gonna
whatever.
Be a little bit vague about
I got
this.
girl issues.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
and then, Chet was kind of talking to Soren and kind of reveals to Soren that Chet had a previous lover that he's kind of still hung up on, and that,
she hurt him.
She hurt him, and he doesn't want to hurt Morena, but he also doesn't want to be hurt again. She's kind of asking Soren's advice, and Soren was like, did you talk to Morena? And Chet was like,
Did you talk to her about your feelings and anything going on in your past?
No.
Well then, this seems like
it's only been date number 2.
That seems like that would be the first thing you would do. But like, hey, girl, I've been hurt before. I just want to let you know before we do
Date
anything.
number 2,
But
man.
I don't know if I am the best authority on it. My girlfriend kind of was sold into hell, and then I refused to go back and live with her.
Because I had a higher purpose. But she
If
says I could
Liren
come
had
home
been there,
with
he would have
flowers.
asked Liren.
Oh, I'm sure.
So, after talking to Soren and kind of going through all that, Chet leaves to go find Morena.
He's like, go talk to her, boy.
Morena had, however, gotten up early and left the ship to go find some things for her disguise kit.
And Solomon was like, "Hey guys, thanks for leaving me last night, you jerks."
And Chet awkwardly kind of apologized to him and being like,
yeah.
I mean, Chet was kind of trying to make the point of well, you weren't really staying with the group, but I suppose I'm sorry we did leave you there, kind of jerks.
Could at least checked in on you.
I mean, but at the same time,
I was trying to hit that.
Sort of.
priorities, man.
Emotionally hit that.
So Chet had gone up to eat breakfast, and I was like, have you seen Morena? No.
No. So Chet couldn't find her, so Chet was like, all right, I guess she went somewhere. So he went off to go find her. Meanwhile, Solomon
was like, "Hey, Soren,
Your breakfast is getting cold.
no, it's not."
No, it's not. There's hot stones. Fine, you're right. So much we're not lying.
Shut up.
So then Soren Vince is like, fine, I guess I'll make an appearance so that people will leave me alone real quick. I got a lot to ponder. So he runs up. He had contemplated wearing an eye patch, so he was like, man, this is going to raise more questions than anything. So he goes up with no eye patch or no headband or anything, just
Someone's like, "What is going on?" And tries to be nice and consoling and be like, "Hey, it's okay. Are you okay? Did you get into a fight? Do you need any help? What's up? I can heal you." No. It's
Soren
fine.
instantly becomes like a teenager. I'm fine, Mom.
God, just give me my breakfast and leave. And then you did that.
Yes.
So then you and Morena. You found Morena after she just bought, Pizza More for the Skies kit, so it's back in restock so you can do it again. Then you were looking around, you're like, hey, you want to go check out that magic shop Mr. Rehad?
Right.
And she was like, I guess, sure.
And we get there, and there's 2 guards there, and they were like, oh, what, so you were just going to come and steal? And Chet was like, I figured there was more than one employee. And they were
which
like...
I thought was a very valid point.
Which
Yeah.
I actually
And
did
like,
figure. There's somebody else running the place.
Yeah,
like,
brothers helps them.
No, okay, that makes sense.
Liam Mayfire was here a few times too.
And, so Chet was just going to leave, and the guards were like, well, we can go on patrol, just, real quick, make sure nobody, and, kind of kick the door open.
Because they're like, well, it's the Stormbreakers.
To which Chet was like, are we doing this? We're doing this. Goes inside, investigates the area, finds...
Pretty nice investigation.
Finds a nice scroll with a friend's cantrip, finds, a wand that has some very nice perks to it.
That's kind of like your magic. You don't really have anything else.
And then also finds a box.
What's in the box?
A seemingly innocent box. To which Chet was like, sees like these arcane symbols on it, and
you guys
is
had
like
5 minutes, so I guess in your mental rush, you guys didn't really have think about.
No.
Game could be like nothing.
Yeah, so we didn't want to spend a lot of time because I didn't know how much time we had.
Myrna also found 3 healing potions.
So Myrna found 3 healing potions. So Chet sees these arcane symbols and is like, probably shouldn't mess with that. Well, then Miranda looks at this box and is like,
pretty.
Because I had them both. I had them both roll investigation, so it's fair if I tell Chet and then Miranda the same thing because they're helping each other.
Right.
So she saw the box, and I was like, "What do? You see Chet pick it up and put it down." That's all I said. I didn't say, "Ooh."
And then so she went over to the box, and is kind of messing around with it and sees that there's the symbols on them are abyssal, and then she also gets the abyssal sense on it too. To which she tells Chet, like, hey, this is, like, some abyssal stuff. Now, in Chet's mind, Chet's like, okay, abyssal, not super great, but it's also kind of, like, from what he understands, where she's kind of been.
Mm-hmm.
So he was like, oh, maybe she wants this, so let's take this box after all. But let's not open it here.
Miscommunication.
Yeah.
Do you want this? No? Okay.
Yeah, it could have been that simple, but it really, we made it a lot more complicated. So we pick up the box and we hide it under a jacket and we leave. Find a nice abandoned store to go break into. And immediately Chet dispels the... I attempted, and then...
It deflected.
It deflected, and then she had already tried it.
She had already tried to pump a spell slot in there, and nothing happened.
Right. I tried it, deflected, so then I tried again, and succeeded. And then,
everything was fine until you opened it.
Yeah. So...
It still is technically locked until you opened it.
So, Chet was kind of thinking ahead, was like, now I don't know what's in here. It could be trapped. It could be, like, something bad, like you want to take some steps back because he didn't want Miranda to get hurt. And as he starts opening it, this black energy just starts coming out, and Chet's like, nope.
That bad.
Nope, that looks bad. And, like, wraps the jacket, and he rolls, and he rolls for Arcana, and it was... necrotic energy.
No. You just got the sense it was a gateway.
Oh, it was like a being that there was something in there. So then Chet and Miranda are immediately like this is bad.
And then it was like,
and then they were both like, we need to get this to somebody like of a higher authority that might be able to close this. And we're like, let's go find Ezra May. So they start running off to go find Ezra.
And then.
So then they ran faster to go find Ezra.
And while they're running, Solomon tries to contact
Hey, Mariah, you doing all right? Did you see talking about the thing about Soren? Don't bring it up about his head or eye. What? What are you doing? Nothing.
And so then
Busy.
Solomon comes down like, Soren, I think they're in trouble. I'm sure they're fine. Like now, because now Soren's is gonna do this thing where he spooks everyone out with his eye. just that glass. Because Soren opens the door, just, what do you want? He's like, oh no. He was like, I'm sure they're fine.
He didn't actually say, I think they're in trouble. He said, I haven't really heard from them.
They're probably on another day.
Probably on
but we
another
need to leave
day.
soon.
That's right. He was he was like, we need to go. And he said, I'm sure it's fine.
So then when Soren tried to reach out for Morena,
he got pretty much the same answer.
Got pretty much the same answer.
Yeah, it was the screaming of "We're busy, talk later, bye," and then she stopped responding, and then yes, again, dad mode kicks in.
So it was a little bit of like, there's a lot of miscommunication in this episode.
Like the beginning was like, oh, this is going to be great, like nice friend, like drinking, and then a little bit of dark knowledge, and I thought you guys were going to like move forward with that, and then the third date happened, and third date not going so well.
No.
Because what happened?
So, as we got to the church, we meet up with, God, what was his name?
Nevcool.
Nurgle? I just know it starts with that. Nevcool. It's going to take me at least 2 more sessions to figure that out.
He's only probably gonna be in.
Nevcool's like, Chet like busts in the door with this box, like trying to keep it closed, and Nevcool's like, what? And Chet's trying to explain, Get me Ezra! To which Nevcool's like, yeah, we got to get her. Pops back, gets her, she comes back. Also asks what's going on. Chet once again, I'll explain more later, but there's a thing in here we need to keep trapped because I'm dumb. Like, tried to make it as short as possible, and she's like,
I'm afraid if it's going to open, and she's like, put it down. But why? If it opens with your arms on it, your arms could break.
Chet was like, that's...
Chet's
so
like,
first, it should be noted, Ezra had the church cleared.
Oh, yeah.
Then they went out back behind the church, and then Chet put it on the ground. And... so I'm assuming some actions were readied.
Hi, welcome to Chile.
And what popped out was a karate.
You like the...
Yeah, it's in my head.
It sounds like a Starbucks drink to me.
The technical name of what it is a Kalarak quarry.
Yes, which is an aberration that kind of looks like a praying mantis mixed with like a fire demon type thing. With like
eyes floating around it.
Like,
it's just a bunch of
it's
fun.
It's an aberration from the dreamland.
Barrel of nightmares, literally.
It eats dreams.
Literally. And so that's where we left off, was with Soren and Solomon getting ready to leave the ship to go look for Morena and Chet. And Chet, Morena, Nevcool, thank you, and Ezra, like...
what's going on?
Because, so that's where we're going to be picking up tomorrow night, in tomorrow's episode.
Fourth date, you just have to bring... you got to find everything Morena loves.
I got to bring my A game on that fourth date, man.
You're going to be like, anything you need, I'm going to give it to you. I want 12 more gold.
That's hey, man, you're counting on the fact that this is something that Chet wants to succeed.
I mean, you're trying for it, so...
Am I? Is he?
I don't know. Are you?
We'll have to find out in tomorrow night's episode. Till next time, we will see you guys tomorrow night.
Bye.